All right, let's talk about DK Metcalf, who I have to say, so this trade happened. A lot of people were a lot more critical of it for the Steelers' perspective than I expected. I think a lot of people just aren't as big of a fan of DK Metcalf than I am as a player. So let's get into the film and talk about why I think he is still a really effective player and should be a great if he's a number one or a number two. Having him and Pickens across from each other should really help things. So first, this play, which is going to start off as a pretty simple play. In fact, he's just running a setup route right here. Your job is run 5 yards, stop. Hopefully draw some attention further underneath. You can throw further down the field. That's what his job is on this play. Simple enough. So you're going to see Geno Smith takes a snap, and for Metcalf, again, he starts off doing exactly what you expect him to do, just run a few yards. But hey, now that the play is broken down a little bit, there's some space. This is just backyard football at this point. He's running further down the field, doing what he should be doing, trying to figure something else out, which I like. So good job here of him not just giving up on a play. Now he has a position too for Geno Smith. He's saying, well, hey, Metcalf is tall and big. Let me just throw one up and see if he can make the play. And as you see, that's going to be what he does. George Pickens kind of coined the phrase of I'm always open. No matter how covered I look, throw one up to me, I can still come down with the football. Metcalf is very much that way as well. He is someone who can get the football if you just throw it up to him, and you saw it right there. He also had this play in the Dolphins game, which I thought was really good, where what's going to happen is it's a zone coverage play, and you see the route where he's going to essentially fake as though he's going in, trying to draw the safety in that direction, and then just going to run a deep route and see if he can get by the safety. Well, watch how when this play begins, you're going to see him, pull off some nice route running here. Shows as though he's going over the middle. The safety bites on this play, and now he can run down the field, and you're going to see his explosiveness here. Watch as he does get past the safety, and even with a ball that's a touch underthrown, he's able to still make the grab and continue to accelerate, gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Again, he has this ability to do this, and honestly, I feel like his route running didn't get utilized fully to its most extreme extent with the Seattle Seahawks. Again, I get it. He's big and fast. You want to utilize that as much as possible, but sometimes these plays could really work as well. Even in something like this, where you see how far off the Lions player who's covering Metcalf is covering him, which happened a lot, quite frankly. Teams gave him 8 yards of space seemingly every play, which can open the door for something like that, right? Let's just run underneath and pick up the yards that are available, make something easy happen. As you see, that's going to be exactly what happens. Smith is able to flip it to Metcalf, who makes the grab, runs over a guy, and then ultimately does fumble the football. Maybe got a bit too aggressive there, so that's not ideal. Don't want to fumble the football. Still good play, though. Not a good play, but still goes to show what he can do, I suppose. But definitely got to hold on to that ball there. Also does show that he is a physical player, although should be mentioned, physical players do sometimes fumble the football because you're trying to run over guys, which means that sometimes they'll knock the ball out. I will say as well, sometimes for Metcalf and for the Seahawks, part of why they couldn't constantly be throwing the ball down the field wasn't even Geno Smith's fault or Metcalf's fault. It was the offensive line's fault. A play like this, for example, Geno Smith takes a snap, and it doesn't matter what Metcalf is doing on this play because the play just dies so quickly. That was something that happened a decent amount as well. They did not pass protect very well, and because of that, it created some issues for Metcalf. So you do wonder with, hey, being in a situation that can at least pass protect better than that should hopefully help. But I really think this play is what I find so fascinating about this decision, where you have DK Metcalf running a go route on the outside right here. Okay, simple enough. But really why I think they wanted to go out and trade for him is, some people might say, well, is it the best idea to have Metcalf and Pickens? They both do a lot of similar things. Well, here's why you want to have them, because for Metcalf, really focus on the safety on this play. He's the main guy to watch. Watch as he's really going to pretty quickly get over towards the bottom of the screen and try and get in position to make that play work, to the point where Geno Smith had to throw that one a lot quicker than he would have usually liked had the safety been staying put or even running towards the top of the screen. Now, the safety didn't just move because DK Metcalf is DK Metcalf. There's also only one wide receiver on the other side of the field, and that wide receiver kind of ran a quick route over the middle pretty quickly, so you knew it was going to be probably the only deep routes were going to be towards one side of the field, so that's why the safety did that. But he also did it in part because DK Metcalf is DK Metcalf. He was ready to get over there, and so because of that, I think having two players who can essentially make the safety want to do that can help because one of them should be more open. And heading over here, if Metcalf gets those pure one-on-one matchups where here he's lined up in the slot, actually, which he'll do a little bit, not really does a lot. I mean, the reality is that they have two outside receivers. That's just what it is. But Metcalf can play in the slot a little if he has to. You see right here, though, one-on-one matchup. It's a number one wide receiver type of matchup, right? Running down the field, trying to get open. You see that Geno Smith takes a snap, and DK Metcalf gets that clean release, and the safety is not really in position to make this tackle. So, really, I mean, this is exactly what you want if you're Geno Smith. He knows what he's going to do with this ball. Watch as he, gets the ball over there. Safety does a good job at closing, but not good enough. Metcalf is still able to get the touchdown on that play, and this is why you go out and get DK Metcalf. There's not that many wide receivers in the league who can do this kind of thing. He is one of those who can. So yes, they are giving DK Metcalf a good amount of money. I will mention, receivers get money now, receivers get paid now, and, with the salary cap going up, actually doesn't fully feel like top market receiver money at this point. It kind of is, but there hasn't been, we'll see when Jamar Chase gets his big deal, what happens there, right? I think he's going to get a lot more than $30 million. So it's a lot of money, but with the way the salary cap keeps jumping up, it's not I don't think it's a crazy deal, and I think he's a really good player. I think he'll really help out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, there's the whole will this locker room implode type thing. Listen, they had Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown, and didn't implode under Mike Tomlin. Not saying that not saying he's a god or anything, but I do trust them to at least keep things okay for a bit. And for all of DK Metcalf's faults, I think usually his biggest issue is he fights players on the other team, not with his own team, right? Unless I'm forgetting about something, which I might be. But ultimately, I think it's a good move. And for a second round pick, they have a little bit of money that they can make this move. I think that it's a position of need, and the reality is getting DK Metcalfs are hard. In the draft, a lot of times the top receivers don't end up being star, wide receivers. You can usually get good wide receivers in rounds 2 and 3, which is why they usually draft wide receivers in those rounds. But you don't it's a bit of a crapshoot, the wide receiver drafting thing. It's one of the more difficult positions to draft. So going out, spending a second round pick on a guy you can trust to be a good player, I don't know. It feels like a pretty good move. Let's not forget, they ended up getting more for Chase Claypool than what they gave up for DK Metcalf, because that pick was a second-round pick that was better. That was a weird move the Bears did back in the day. But ultimately, I think it's a smart move. I think he's going to help the team. And, usually you need 3 options. And now they have, Pickens and Metcalf on either side, and Fryer move over the middle. I would still like to have a slot receiver as well, and maybe they just feel like, they drafted a guy last year. Maybe they feel like he can step up and be that guy this year. We'll see. But ultimately, I think this receiving core looks a lot better. So I think it's a good move. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching to the end of that video. I do appreciate it. If you want to see my other channel, Jackson Kruger Movies, where I talk about movies, give some film reviews and stuff like that of a different kind, if that seems like your kind of thing, the link is in the description below for that, as is the link for my Twitter account. I'm at Jackson Kruger, so give me a follow on there if that's your kind of thing. And also, of course, remember to hit the subscribe button on this channel. I do always appreciate it, and thanks again for watching to the end of the video.